This piece of plastic has taken up a year of my life, made my co-workers hate me, and cost me... I'll get to that bit. Was it worth it? Absolutely not. I'm obviously joking. I can now legally fly a plane, which is the best thing ever. I'm going to try and make this as concise as possible because the chances are, if you're watching this, you already know what the PPL course consists of. If you don't care about aviation at all, then this might be a tad dull, but stick around, I'll whack some memes in.
What the Sigma?
Yeah, I still don't get that one. Of course, I'm not an instructor, so everything I say here and in every other video is simply my opinion and should not be used for educational purposes. I did my PPL in just under 1 year, with my first lesson being on the 17th of July 2022, and I passed my skills test on the 16th of July 2023. It took me 51 hours and 5 minutes of actual flying time. I'm going to do this video in 2 parts because when I was prepping for this, I realised there's quite a lot to it. So the second part's going to be about my financing of the course, and I'm going to put a breakdown of exactly how much I spent and on what. And this first part is a bit of a course overview and some tips that I've picked up along the way. And stick around till the end because I've got one of the best tips that helped me save a lot of money. So to get your PPL, Class 2 medical, 9 ground exams, flight radio telepathy operator's license, 45 hours of flight time with at least 10 hours solo and 25 hours dual control, solo qualifying cross country of at least 150 nautical miles with 2 full stop landings at 2 different aerodromes, and of course, the skills test. That f***ing skills test. Let's go in order. So, the medical. After your first couple of lessons, when you know you're not going to be sick every time you go in the air, and you know you're ready to commit to your flight training, just get this done. I got mine done in London on Harley Street at the London General Practice. It cost me 300 quid, and I don't know if it's a standardised price, but you might be able to get it cheaper. Maybe like a botched circumcision I got ripped off. You want to get this out of the way because you need it to go solo, and you don't want to get to 15, 20 hours in and not have it, be ready to go solo, and then you've got to wait to do it. And of course, if there's an issue which means you can't get your medical, then you'd rather know at the beginning than when you're 30 hours in. Now we have the 9 ground exams. Similar with the medical, try and knock these out as quickly as you can, whilst obviously retaining the information because it will probably save your life at some point. I was held up slightly because I didn't get my arse into gear smashing these out. I focused too much on the hours in the air, but flying schools will require you to complete a certain combination of exams before any milestones like flying solo for the first time. For example, at my flying school, you needed to complete air law, operational procedures, and human performance before they let you go solo. A quick few bits about each exam. I'm going to go in the order that I took them, which I found quite a nice progression because some of them are quite similar, so you might want to do those at the same time. Also, you're going to get sick of hearing me say this, but easypplgroundschool.com. Just use it for every single exam. The first one I took was air law. It's a big one. There's quite a lot to learn, but it's great to get out of the way because I think more than likely your flying school will want you to have done that before your first solo. The second one I took is operational procedures. Similar to air law, there's a lot to cover, and it's great to get it out of the way. I found that air law and operational procedures went pretty much hand in hand, so it's good to do them maybe on the same day. The third one I did was human performance. Pretty simple, a lot of common sense answers. Good to get out of the way. I actually sat all 3 of those on the same day, and I did just use all those books to revise, plus the app PPL Tutor on my phone. I did pass them all. The pass rate's 75%, but I didn't get 100% on any of them. And I would seriously advise against using the PPL Tutor app. I found that it was quite out of date. A lot of the answers actually were just categorically wrong, but maybe it's been updated, so sorry PPL Tutor if I've just completely slagged you off for no reason. But use Easy PPL Ground School instead. I just promise you. The one I did after that was communications. I absolutely loved this exam. If you're confident on the radio, then it's a bit of a breeze. I do recommend that you check out the radio telepathy manual CAP 413. The link will be in the description. It's just pretty interesting. Then I did meteorology. Gonna be honest, I failed this one the first time. It is really hard, and I just relied on PPL Tutor and skimming this, but it did then prompt me to go down the route of easypplgroundschool.com. And this is why I am so passionate about promoting this website, and also very welcome of any sponsorship should that be forthcoming. I bought this course, which I think was around £13.49, or at least it was back in 2022, and was so impressed with how all the information was laid out. Essentially, it's like a big slideshow of the Air Pilot's Manual, but with great illustrations and really quirky touches which just really help you remember things. But the best part, I think, are the progress tests that they give you after every topic. And then at the end, you get the final course exam. These are pretty much word for word what you get in the actual exam, something that PPL Tutor definitely didn't do. And I think that's one of the trickiest things, is the wording of the exam, because they're always the same sort of questions. It's just they're worded slightly differently, and it can really throw you. Let me know in the comments if you've had the same experience with that. And it's not just that one exam. Every time you do the end of course exam, it generates new questions, so you can really fill your boots with them all. I got 100% on my meteorology the second time I took it. So there you go. Then for me, it was on to navigation. This is a biggie. Get good and quick at using the whiz wheel, reading bearings, fuel consumption. There's a lot. Again, Easy PPL is just brilliant for this. It takes this wealth of information and breaks it down into really manageable chunks. As I said, some of these exams go quite well together, and I found that the next one to do for me was flight planning and performance. Not really much to add with it, just get on it with easypplgroundschool.com. It just makes it all so easy to understand, and it will help you pass it straight away. I think if I remember correctly, this exam is pretty stressful because doing the workings out actually does take up quite a lot of time. So you really do need to be on it with your timings. I'm pretty sure I ran out of time, or like I was very, very close to running out. Also, I know this is obvious, but just make sure you bring a current in-date map. I didn't bring a current map, and I'd also cut mine to fit my training area, and the question referenced somewhere in Cornwall. Now, I fly from Red Hill, so my map didn't have that on. And yes, ever since then, any new map I've got, I've folded it properly. Anyway, I would have been completely screwed if my flight school hadn't provided me with a map that had Cornwall on. However, that map was also out of date, and the question referenced a very new mast that wasn't on there. Anyway, past that one, definitely thanks to Easy PPL Ground School. And that brought me on to Principles of Flight, easypplgroundschool.com. That's all I have to say for this. There's a fair amount to learn, and of course it's all really important because it's all about how the metal box that we sit in gets up and down safely. So yeah, an important one, but it is a blessed relief for me after the flight planning and performance and the navigation. And the last one I did, which is also in this yellow book, is Aircraft General. This exam isn't the hardest, but again, it's pretty interesting, and Easy PPL Ground School, I still used it and it was great. It's first solo after the Air Law, Human Performance and Operational Procedures exam, and I think I was at 19 hours, 40 minutes-ish. I did my qualifying cross-country after the Meteorology, Navigation, Flight Planning and Performance and Communications exam, and I was at 37 hours, 40 minutes. The qualifying cross-country, this is a very fun, very expensive day. Bring water, don't forget your PPRs, and definitely go to the loo before you take off. If you want to see how mine went, there's a link somewhere to the first leg of my journey. It is an incredible taste of freedom. A quick bit about the actual flying. I had somewhat of a unique experience because I did my first 30 hours in a beautiful Cessna 150 Golf Alpha Whiskey Uniform Tango. I am extremely fortunate that a family member owns this aircraft and very kindly allowed me to fly it for a lot less than renting a flying school's. Unfortunately, there was just a few little minor issues with it, which meant that my flying school didn't let me do my qualifying cross country or the skills test in it. So I had to switch to a Katana DD20 for my last 20 hours or so. It wasn't too much of a setback despite having gone solo in the 150, but it was really interesting getting used to a low wing aircraft, having things like a fuel pump, a joystick instead of a yoke, and of course the prop control, which took me a bit of time to get used to. But of course, the thing that hit me the most was the cost. Of course, finding the right instructor is a huge deal, and I've got to give a big shout out to Jonathan, who is my instructor. Not only is he a wonderful instructor, but he is a really good friend of mine. I mean, I spent quite a few hours cramped into a little Cessna 150 with him, so I had to like him, I guess. I know there's quite a few videos out there about how to choose the right instructor, so if you want one of those, let me know and I'll make one. Now, the Flight Radio Telepathy Operator's License, or FRITL, I think people call it. I think you can take this at any point in your training. I might be wrong, but I think you can. But I took mine just after my mock skills test. I think this is a standard thing that most flight schools do, but you take the mock skills test with your instructor before they can recommend you to the actual examiner to do your test, or something like that. Anyway, I did my radio license after my mock skills test whilst I was waiting for examiner availability. I know there are places where you can go and kind of train for this exam, but to be completely honest, I found it quite straightforward. There's a brilliant channel called Spectrum Geeks, and he does a fantastic video on this. The link's in the description. He experienced the newer version of the exam, which is apparently done on paper, but my exam was done on a computer with a moving map. I had to do mine at Biggin Hill as my flight school at Redhill doesn't do it. But yeah, it was a great experience. Go in knowing your maydays and your pan orders, although they did actually give me a cheat sheet. But yeah, I was a bit nervous for it on the day, but the examiner talked me through the whole thing, and it's not too bad. And now, the skills test. Yes, it's long, it's stressful in the build-up, it's stressful whilst you're doing it, it sucks. And truthfully, didn't go very well for me. One thing to know about this exam is that, of course, you can pass or fail, but you can also get what's called a partial pass. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory, but it's where you pass in certain aspects, but you fail one element. And this is what happened to me. I was stressing so much about the navigation side of things that I spent all of my prep time going over and over this part of the exam and just completely neglected the maneuvers. So I absolutely smashed the navigation part of the exam, which, to be fair, does take up the majority of the exam. The circuits were passable, they weren't great, and I failed the maneuvers. Now, obviously, I was super gutted about it, and if anyone's watching who has got a partial, then you know exactly the feeling. But I had one little top-up lesson with my instructor, and then a week later, I was up in the air with the examiner again, but this time for only 30 minutes, did the airwork section, got the job done. I might make a video about the actual skills test and how the navigation side works, but there are loads of videos like that on YouTube already, so let me know if you want one. Now, of course, passing the exam was very exciting, but I did have to wait a fair while for my license to actually come through. I passed on Sunday the 16th of July, sent all the paperwork off that evening, and didn't get the actual license through in the post until the 3rd of August. So to summarise, this course was a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of money, and I am so glad that I persevered and came out the other side. As I said, I'm going to go into the exact breakdown of the cost in the next video. But just to finish this one, this is my top tip. Get Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, when you watch this, it will probably be Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which is the latest version. If you have a PC to run it already, great. But if not, like me, get yourself an Xbox Series S or X. Yes, they're quite pricey, but not only do you get an amazing games console which will last you a long time, you can get Microsoft Flight Sim on the Game Pass. I think it's like $12.99 a month. Gives you Xbox Live Gold, and it gives you so many games, including Microsoft Flight Simulator. And the best bit is that you can actually buy flight controls for the Xbox. You can probably see just up here is the Turtle Beach Velocity 1 flight yoke system. It is absolutely fantastic. Maybe not with the physics, but just to orientate yourself with the cockpit, it's brilliant. Also up here is the Thrustmaster HOTAS 1. You probably can't see very well, but I've got the rudder pedals up there as well. And yes, whilst these are expensive, I promise you, they are going to save you money in the long run. These items, coupled with the insane detail you have in Microsoft Flight Simulator, will mean that after every lesson, you can go back, consolidate within the comfort of your own home without having to spend money being in the air. And for example, when I was flying the Cessna 150, the 152, which comes with Microsoft Flight Simulator, was super similar, and you could simulate things like engine failures, circuit patterns, all the stall speeds and everything was pretty similar. It was just brilliant. Just take a look at how realistic Redhill looks. Of course I bought the DLC for this. I'm planning on making some Flight Simulator content here on YouTube, but I do have quite a bit that I did a couple of years ago when I was doing my PPL. Some of it's a bit cringe, but it's good fun. Head over to my TikTok. There's some really fun videos on there actually. Anyway, I truly believe that without Microsoft Flight Simulator, I probably would have taken at least 60+ hours to pass. So I'm pretty sure I saved a lot of money by playing video games. Yes, of course it's not an actual substitute for flying, but it's pretty damn good once you get all the hardware. Thank you so much for watching, bit of a long one, but this wraps up the overview for part 1. The link for part 2 will be somewhere around here. And if you found this helpful, entertaining, you hated it, then consider subscribing, hitting like, maybe a comment, maybe a share, all that. I'm gonna get straight to the point and break down the total cost for everything that I spent from start to finish in getting my private pilot's license. I was very fortunate that during the time I was doing my PPL, I had a very good job. And because I work in theatre, hence the name The Flying Thespian, I think it's pretty clever, I worked mostly in the evenings. So I had quite a bit of free time to smash through multiple lessons a week and get the ground school exams out the way. I do very much understand how fortunate a position this is to be in, and by no means did I take it for granted. I knew that especially in the acting industry, I might not have this opportunity again, where not only am I earning enough money to do something like this, but I'm in one place for a long period of time. I did think it was sort of now or never, so I went for it. Okay, part 2, where I disclose the worst part about getting your PPL and question if it was a very silly mistake. Just kidding. As I said in part 1, being able to fly a plane is pretty much the coolest thing ever. Check out that first part if you're not very familiar with the PPL course structure. I give a rough breakdown of what the course entails. The link will be somewhere around here. Now, the cost. Now, this will be as accurate and as honest as I can remember. It has been nearly 2 years since my first lesson, but I think I've kept a pretty good record. I might well have got some maths hideously wrong here, so here goes. The total I spent on aircraft hire and the instruction, £10,399 and 78 pence. Now this is made up of the wonderful Cessna 150 that I fly, Golf Alpha Whiskey Uniform Tango, and I know how fortunate this is, but it belongs to a family member, so I was able to get it at a slightly reduced rate than if I was going to hire it from a flight school. Plus the katana that I then had to transfer to in order to take the actual exam. That of course was owned by my flying school, and yeah, that thing is very expensive. My total flight time was 51 hours and 5 minutes, which if you break it all down equates to £202.74 per hour. The total I spent on equipment, £562.49. This includes logbook, the Pooley's basic headset, things like the checklist for my 150, all the exam books which you can see behind me and here, of course your knee board, maps, all your pens, protractors, rulers. There's a lot of stuff. Oh, and a quad lock mount. Now, these are fantastic, but just make sure you don't get this one. It is not designed for an aircraft, and I tried to use it and it just kept falling off. Instead, get the 360 suction cup mount, which does work really well in the cockpit. Yes, it's a bit pricey, but it's great. The last thing, and honestly I think one of the most important, is that I bought the full version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now I do have the Xbox Game Pass, so I do get the base version of the game, but the katana that I passed in is only available as part of the full game. It helped so much. Membership to Flying Club, mine was 150 quid for the year, and I was very lucky that my entire PPL journey took exactly 1 year minus a day. The total spent on the ground exams and the skills test, £1,065.94, split into £465 just for entering and taking those ground exams. I did fail meteorology, so I had to take 10 in total technically. £400 for the skills test, and bear in mind that is just for the examiner. Make sure you don't get a partial like I did, because yeah, that's why it's quite a lot. £120 for the flight radio telephony. I realise I've said telepathy in the other video quite a lot. The flight radio telephony operator's license, that was 120 quid. A bit of a bargain to be fair. £80.94 for easypplgroundschool.com. That by far is the best deal of the entire course. As I said in my last video, I cannot recommend it enough. My Class 2 medical cost me 300 quid. As I said before, I went to Harley Street. I don't know if it's cheaper elsewhere. My Sky Demon subscription, £72. So all in all, from scratch to fully fledged private pilot, it cost me £12,490 and 21p. I think that's right. It is a hell of a lot of money. I genuinely never dreamed that I'd be able to single-handedly afford to get a private pilot's license myself. So when this opportunity arose, I took it. I must be honest and say that I am incredibly proud that I stuck with it and invested a year of my life and a huge amount of money into something that I love and hopefully I'll be able to use for a long time. If you have any questions on the PPL course, just drop me a comment. Please remember that I am in no shape or form a flight instructor, so this is all just for entertainment, not for educational purposes. Please don't use it for such. Share this video with your flying pals, and it would make me so happy if you could consider subscribing.